everyone, it's Ms. Lopez. In this video, we are going to compare students who did the reading guide for Chapter 4 versus students who didn't do the reading guide for Chapter 4, and we're going to be using SEM bars to help support our data. Now, the reading guide is completely optional, but we're trying to see if it's beneficial to students to use their time to go through it. Quizzes are normally worth 50 points. And so what we're going to do is we're going to compare the average of the students who did the reading guide versus who didn't, and we're going to use their averages out of 50 points. Let's get started. First, we'll start with the average of the students who did the reading guide. Their average score was 40.1, and this has been collected for the past 6 years. Data that has been collected for the past 6 years. Next, we'll do the students who didn't do the reading guide. Their average was a 35.3. We're now also going to include SEM bar information. You don't have to calculate this. It will always be given for you. So there is the data for the SEM bars. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and graph our information to see if there is a statistical difference between these two sets of students. Let's start with our acronym SAD. S stands for scale. I'm going to start my graph on the y-axis at 0, but I'm going to put a break in there so that I can have as much space as possible to show the different SEM bars. I've scaled my axes to go all the way up to 41. That is the number I predict, the highest number I will need for this graph. I've also scaled my y-axis all the way down to 34. I believe that will be sufficient space for graphing my SEM bars. Next, I'm going to label my axes. Along the y-axis, I have the student average or their quiz average. And then for my x-axis, I'm going to label each bar as either RG for reading guide or no RG for students who did not do the reading guide. Next, I'm going to go ahead and draw my bars in. Here is the two sets of bar graphs for my data. I'm now going to add my SEM bars. To find the top of my SEM bar, I'm going to add the student average plus the standard error of the mean. To find the lower extreme of that SEM bar, I'm going to take the student average and subtract the standard error of the mean. In this particular example, we are just going to go to one standard error of the mean, but please be aware that sometimes College Board can ask you to go to standard error of the mean. So here's what the SEM bars look like. Again, to get the top of my SEM bar, I added the average to the SEM. To get the bottom of the SEM bar, I subtracted the SEM from the average. Now let's write an appropriate conclusion. Remember that in your conclusion, you want to include the word statistical, since we are dealing with SEM bars. So the first thing we're going to do is acknowledge whether or not there is a statistical difference in these two groups of students, the ones who did the reading guide versus the ones who didn't do the reading guide. Then we're going to justify that conclusion. So there is our claim. There is a statistically significant difference between students who did the reading guide and those that didn't. We know this because the SEM bars do not overlap. There you have it, folks. If you want to increase your understanding of biology, particularly in this unit, make sure you complete the reading guide. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.